Hey guys, welcome back to Story Time with me, Miss Carabed. We are going to continue Calico the Wonder Horse, and today we're going to read part 2. So let's get right into it. Calico the Wonder Horse is written by Virginia Lee Burton. It's also illustrated by Virginia Lee Burton. She was an author and illustrator of many picture books, and we're going to finish reading one of my favorite ones. Again, this is a Christmas classic, and I know that we are in the month of June, and it's definitely not Christmas time. But hey, who says you can't celebrate Christmas in June or July? Why not? So here we go. We're going to pick up right where we left off. And that is where Calico and Hank get their reward money for catching Stewie Stinker. The idea was to give a big party for all the children in Cactus County, to be held in the schoolhouse on Christmas Eve. Everybody was invited. The next time Die Hard Dan came over the mountain pass, Hank went back with him to buy the presents. As there was no jail in Cactus County, Stewie Stinker was put down in the cellar of the schoolhouse with Wishbone Will to guard him. Through the window, Stewie Stinker heard the children talking about the mysterious and precious load that was coming in on the stagecoach. He planned to escape and hold it up. Stick 'em up. Every night he dug up some dirt and hid it under the bed. In the daytime, he covered the hole with his hat. He was digging a tunnel out of the schoolhouse cellar. The night before the stagecoach was expected, he dug the last bit and crawled out. Wishbone Bill didn't see him because he was asleep on his feet. Stewie Stinker stole Wishbone Bill's horse and hit the trail for the Badlands. To fool anyone who followed him, he took to the tall timbers and sent Wishbone Bill's horse on. "Well, tie my legs in a bow knot," said Wishbone Bill when he woke up and found Stewie Stinker gone. He ran to tell the people. A posse set out on Stewie Stinker's trail. The trail was plain to see. Calico saw the posse go by and raced after them. When they came to the tall timbers, Calico stopped, lifted up her long and sensitive nose, and sniffed. She picked up Stewie Stinker's tall trail through the timbers and followed it, but the posse kept right on following the tracks of Wishbone Bill's horse. Stewie Stinker, back in the hideout, told his men of the mysterious and precious load coming in on the stagecoach that night, and his plans to hold it up in the narrow mountain pass. Calico, hot on Stewie Stinker's trail, got there just in time to hear the plan. She had another idea, but first she must find the stolen cattle. There was no time to lose. Meanwhile, back in Cactus County, everybody from the oldest to the youngest had turned out for the party at the schoolhouse. Everybody but the posse who were still out looking for Stewie Stinker. They came in their best Sunday go-to meetin' clothes, in buggies, in buckboards, and in wagons. For weeks, the women folks had been baking cakes and pies and donuts. Hank, off in the city, had bought hundreds of presents for the children. The stagecoach was loaded high. They got started late and knew they would have to hurry. As they neared the Badlands, the sky grew blacker and blacker. Die Hard Dan cracked his whip and said, "Looks like a real goose drownder. We better get out of these mountains and across that river before she breaks, or we'll have to wait a week." Ay, ay, ay. Meanwhile, Calico had found the box canyon filled with the stolen cattle. She let down the gate. Just then, there was a blinding flash of lightning. The cattle had been restless before. The lightning was all that was needed to start a stampede. Calico led the way. Stewie Stinker and his gang were waiting at the narrow mountain pass. "Here she comes," said Stewie Stinker. "Take your places, but hold your fire till I give the word. On your marks, get set, fire!" Bing, bang, wing, zing. Off went Hank's hat with a hole in it. Off went Die Hard Dan's hat with another hole in it. "Woo!" said Die Hard Dan. "Reach for the sky," said Stewie Stinker, and Hank and Die Hard Dan reached. "I wish Calico were here," said Hank. "Look!" yelled Skunk Skeeter. It was Calico at the head of the stampede. "Run for your lives, quick, inside the stagecoach, or you'll be trampled to death," yelled Stewie Stinker. Stewie Stinker grabbed the reins from Die Hard Dan. "Giddy up!" and they were off. "Come on, Calico," called Hank. As Calico drew near, Hank leaped from the stagecoach to her back. Stewie Stinker drove the stagecoach down the narrow mountain road at a breakneck speed. Hank and Calico were fast behind, and the stampede thundering after them. Inside the stagecoach, Snake-Eye Pison said, "Phew! That was so close, a shave I nearly lost my whiskers." Faster and faster they went. The bad men inside the stagecoach were being shaken around like dry peas in a pod. "Bop, bang, bump, crack, ouch, my head!" wailed Butch Bones as he hit the roof. "Ouch, my nose!" cried Buzzard Bates. Poor little Skunk Skeeter couldn't say anything because he was underneath them all. Faster and faster they raced. There was a sharp turn ahead. Stewie Stinker reached for the brake. Too late! One wheel went over the edge. Die Hard Dan on the near side leapt to safety. Then over they went. Hank and Calico saw them go and slid down the mountainside to look for them. They found Stewie Stinker hanging up in a tree by his gun belt. Hank took the gun and unhooked him. The stagecoach and horses had landed safely, without a scratch, but the rest of the bad men were nowhere in sight. Hank went to the door of the stagecoach and said, "Hands up!" No answer. He opened the door. There they were, and a sad-looking sight, too. Hank put Stewie Stinker inside with his bad men and collected all the guns. Die Hard Dan got the stagecoach back on the road again. Then the cloud burst! It rained so hard and so fast that if you opened your mouth, you'd be in danger of drowning. The cattle slowed down and safely crossed the river. Stewie Stinker looked out the window at the rain and laughed to himself. We're not caught yet. That river will be flooded in a few minutes, and no one can cross it for days. Hank and Calico knew it too. There was one chance that they could make it, and they must take that chance. They left the road, skipped the hairpin turns, and slid straight down the mountain. Don't try this at home, kids. At the edge of the river, the stagecoach horses were frightened and refused to cross. Hank grabbed the lead horse's reins and pulled them in. Closer and closer came the wall of raging water. Higher and higher rose the river. Hurry, hurry! They just made it and raced on to the schoolhouse. On the way, they passed the cattle grazing peacefully on the home range. The storm was over. The moon came out. It was a beautiful night. When they got to the schoolhouse, the children ran out to greet them and danced around Hank and Calico. "What shall I do with the bad men?" said Hank to Calico. Calico had another good idea. "Come on, boys," said Hank, taking Calico's advice. "This is Christmas Eve. Everybody is invited to the party. You too." The bad men were bashful. Hank loaded them up with presents and the children pulled them inside, all but Stewie Stinker. He sneaked out the other door of the stagecoach and peeked in the window. He saw what the mysterious and precious load was. He felt very sad. So sad that he sat down and cried. "I didn't know I was that mean, holding up Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. I'm never going to be bad anymore." Calico found him and persuaded him to go inside and join the others. Inside, Stewie Stinker saw Buzzard Bates get hit on the nose by a jack-in-the-box and laughed and laughed. Butch Bones was pretending he was a grizzly bear and let the children ride on his back. Snake-Eye Pison was playing dolls, and Skunk Skeeter was having the time of his life because everybody liked him. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Young Wishbone Bill asked Stewie Stinker to play trains with him, and soon they were all having a good time. When the posse got back and found Stewie Stinker and his bad men playing with the toys on the floor with the children, they could hardly believe their eyes. Everybody had such a good time at the party that it lasted till New Year's Day, and then the bad men promised to be good. Hank was elected sheriff of Cactus County, and Calico was made his deputy sheriff. They all shook hands, and once again, everybody was happy and contented in Cactus County. The end. Well, I hope you enjoyed this cowboy-style Christmas in June. I hope you enjoyed the journey that Calico took with Hank and the journey that Stewie Stinker and his bad men took as well. I look forward to seeing you all in story time very soon. And if you have any other suggestions or ideas for stories that you'd like to hear, go ahead and shoot me a message or leave me a comment. Thank you so much, guys, and I'll see you next time. Adios.